Welcome to the Fort Myers Beach Good Neighbor podcast, where the sun's always shining and the stories are even brighter. Each episode, we bring you closer to the neighbors, local legends, and beachside businesses that make Fort Myers Beach the slice of paradise we all love. Pull up a beach chair, grab a drink, and let's meet the people who make this island feel like home. We want to send out some island love to Eric Tibbs from Edward Jones, State Insurance USA, and Home Well Care Services Fort Myers. They are the businesses that allow us to share the soul of our community with every listener, from local stories to the positive vibe of island life. Here's to celebrating all that makes Fort Myers Beach the slice of paradise we all love. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Fort Myers Beach Good Neighbors. Here we offer, as I like to say, no shade, just sunshine. So drama-free and positive vibes only, please. So excited to we have Title Adam with us today. So excited to share his story with our listeners and our good neighbors here. So without further ado, why don't we jump in and get to know you a little bit.
Jim, thanks for having me on the podcast. A longtime listener, first-time caller, so to speak.
There you go. There you go. You've got that radio voice. You've definitely done this before, right?
That's right. I'm coming to you from my podcast studio here, so I'm excited to be joining up with another pro.
Very nice. Very nice. So why don't we start by sharing a little bit about what you do with the title industry here?
Sure. So I've been in the Southwest Florida area for over 30 years. I have found a way to contribute to our local community as a title insurance agent. And I'm licensed in the state of Florida, but I live and love in Lee County specifically. And so I spend my days working directly with real estate agents, with builders, with loan officers and banks and private investors. And I'm helping them to open and close escrow on maybe the biggest financial transaction that they'll close, and that's real estate. So anything from vacant land to new construction, commercial real estate, I do it all. And I do it here, like I said, in the state of Florida. But that's how I primarily am giving back to the community as a professional here.
Absolutely. And, as we all know, the landscape around Southwest Florida has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. So there's a lot of new opportunity, per se, for people to come on in and create something that is special to them. So how, I'm going to say, why Fort Myers? Why the Fort Myers Beach area? I mean, why is that important to you?
Sure. So I moved to Bonita Springs in the early 80s from Indianapolis. My parents split up. Mom stayed up there. Dad came down here. And I found myself in Bonita Springs, which at the time was a very sleepy fishing town, very small. And we left Bonita Springs to do just about anything that we needed to at the time. So if we went to dinner, it would be down in Naples, or if we went, to the mall, it might be up in Fort Myers. And Fort Myers Beach was an extension of Bonita Springs because we spent so much of our time out on the water. I grew up on the Imperial River in Bonita Springs, and so we constantly, minimum one weekend day, but often both weekend days, we would be out navigating, fishing, playing, and tubing in the local waterways. And so as I've grown up, I've decided that this is where I want to root and where I want to have children and build those memories as well. Fort Myers Beach and Southwest Florida in general, what's not to love? And like I said, I'm someone who knows the state pretty well and spends time in different pockets of the state. But I always enjoy coming home to Southwest Florida because you've got something for everyone. The beaches, you've got golf, you've got tennis, you've got fantastic restaurant options, all the entertainment and culture that you could ask for. And I really love Fort Myers Beach because it's come back after Ian, even after that wallop that they got.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've been down here since 89. So I've seen a lot of change too as well. So I remember when it was Fort Myers, Naples, and like you said, Bonita was that trailer park kind of in between, and that's all that was there. And I think a small little convenience store, but there was nothing there. And now it's filling in, it's growing as we grow here in Southwest Florida. And it's exciting to see the change. We want to keep some of that history around and some of that old school, but in the name of progress, we grow, and that's where we're at right now. So running a business, obviously, in Southwest Florida, for anybody outside of Southwest Florida, sounds like a dream job, right?
Absolutely.
Who wouldn't want to work and live by the beach? But we all deal with storms. What's been your biggest challenge and maybe proudest moment so far?
Yeah. So as far as storms go, we're talking about the literal storm.
Well, just, maybe something you came across business wise is, getting to where you are today.
Sure, sure. Well, and the people that know me know that the biggest challenge that I've encountered and overcome in the last year was I moved firms, and as a business person, you occasionally will do that. And when I moved firms, it resulted in a dispute legally over my right to work, and that dispute, luckily, is well behind me. But that was a challenge that I had to actually look and say, am I willing to dig in, and do I really want to do this job for the community? Because I have someone telling me that I can't do that job for a year now. And I made a decision that I do value my contribution to the community. I do want to do this. I do want to continue to work and play in the community that I've spent so much time in. And as a business person, I did this in the middle of an incredibly pronounced market shift, as you know, and did it at a time when Cape Coral and Southwest Florida proper was making headlines for the wrong reasons in the real estate market. And so that has been a challenge, and that has caused me to go back to the drawing board, Jim, and actually look at what are you giving to the community and what are you expecting in return? And I think it's made me a more honest, I think it's made me a more accountable professional, and it's made me someone who, like I said, realizes an important role within the community that's not always exciting or sexy. Title insurance itself is not really a glamorous job. And it's not, the real estate agent who's, really, really out there crushing it. But we are there as a supporting player, and we are there to make sure that everyone's protected. And I think that that's important. And that's, like I said, something that I look at it and say, I like doing this enough that I will go through that and come out on the other side.
Yeah, it's all about helping people at the end. And speaking along those lines, we all get involved with the community, or I'll try to give back with the community. Are there certain things that you're doing to help connect yourself with the community? Obviously, being a lifelong resident down here is major, but are there certain things that we can do to help give back to the community?
Yeah, I think that it can be a tough life to get through, and we're all trying to do it our own way. One of the things in this year that I was able to do was I partnered with a instructor with Lee County Park System. He is a incredible guy, but his specialty is really telescopes. And so we put together an event at a park in Lee County where we had everyone come at sunset. We set up a ton of different telescopes, different types, different sizes, different resolutions, and allowed people to really experience that and to ask questions about, stargazing, to ask questions about, things that aren't on the news and being shoved in our face every day. Like I said, we live in paradise, and if you look around, it's a really special place to be. But sometimes giving back to the community is a non-billable service, and that's something I like doing. I like participating with that to do community events. We've done a couple of those. I know next week, I believe it's this coming Saturday, we're sponsoring a trunk or treat. And you'll find me as a dad loving to do that stuff. But as a business person, honestly, Jim, just finding it to be part of what you have to do to give to the community. So I'm always down to support the community. I've been working with Habitat for Humanity since 2003. And I always am available to join on a job site with them as well.
And those are the things, like you said, bring the community together. We've all, there's enough of the negativity and drama going outside of that. We need to focus as, your neighbors, they're good people. It doesn't matter what they believe, but they're still your neighbors. So let's all work together. And, we live in paradise for a reason. So let's enjoy that together. So speaking along the title industry, are there certain things that have, maybe changed or they're currently trending?
Yeah. So the hot topic right now in title insurance, especially in Florida, is fraud. And it's not a question of if you're going to be impacted by fraud, it's when and how bad it's going to be. And we have some incredibly talented individuals that are choosing to use their talent for the worst. But we see it every single day. And the most common would be someone perpetrating fraud by pretending to be the property owner. That's the most common. But there's also wire fraud that happens. There are family members at times of elderly property owners that will make bad decisions and will deed properties over. So title in general is something that in Florida particularly, the fraud is just off the charts. And so we spend a very good portion of our day really just fact checking. Who are we talking to? Do we really know who this is? And at the end of the day, Jim, I control the money as the title agent. And so everybody can want and wish everything that they want. But at the end of the day, it's on me to push the button to release those funds. And when that happens, we have to know that we did the job properly and that we protected everyone. So I would say, if you said, what is the most exciting and the most frustrating part of your job, it's going to be constantly dealing with fraud, phishing attempts on my email, crazy text messages, weird phone calls. Like, we get it all. And they're constantly just stress testing to see if there's a chink in the armor, if there's a way to get through to run off with the bag. And so they can be exciting, but we just have to be careful and protect our good neighbors. And that's how we are a good neighbor to you.
And we deal with it more so probably in Florida because, I don't know, the fact maybe we are a transient state, but then we have a lot of owners that are outside of the state too, or maybe this is their second or third home here too. So that's that other level of being complicated.
That's what it is, Jim. It's the I live in Canada. I own a vacant lot in Cape Coral. I want you to send the closing documents to Japan. It's everything is digital now, and everything moves so quickly, and we don't have checks as often. Most of the time we're working in wire transfers. So like I say, once we go to push that button, we need to know that we've done, our due diligence. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Southwest Florida again, we love the paradise here. Where do you see the future, within the real estate industry going?
Well, it's interesting because as much as I've seen on the news and in the papers that there's some kind of a housing slowdown, you wouldn't know it around here. And I live in Lehigh, and I have an office in Estero. So I'm covering that section of real estate twice a day. I'm driving tree line. And at least there, I can tell you that it is full steam ahead, knocking down everything green and replacing it with concrete. And I work in an industry that really relies on that, but I worry about that. I think about conservation a lot of times. I wonder if the demand will catch up to that supply that we're building. There's a lot of it, like I said, going on. And I also I went through the housing downturn in 08, 09 down here in Florida. So I remember that as well. And from a real estate standpoint, I like to say, Jim, that I'm the guy at Disney World, and there's a line of people that can't wait to get in, and there's a line of people exhausted, can't wait to get out. And I'm just the guy smiling, offering a bottle of water and hey, thanks for coming, welcome, and I'm just making sure that everybody's in order, coming and going. And I think from a real estate standpoint, this is the best state in the country to be doing title insurance or real estate if you're good at it. And that's the caveat.
That's the key. And, I remember, I'm going to sound old now, but back in the day, when anything east of 75 was like farmland and nothing, there was nothing out there. And now we've got communities like Estero popping up that are just growing like mad. It's good to see the growth, but on the other hand, like you mentioned, we worry a little bit about those, the nature and the critters out there, especially the panthers, and getting squeezed out of their territories.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a bear in my backyard. Well, where do you think it's going to go? Where can it go?
Yeah, you built in his backyard, so now he's going to come to yours. So outside of work, I know what you do can be very demanding, but outside of work, when you get a free moment, what do you enjoy doing?
So this time of year, we've been waiting for this weather, but this time of year is when we're really getting outside. And if we're not working in the yard, which I never thought as a kid would be fun, but I love to work out in the yard. We love to hike. Jade and I will go to, Harns Marsh Preserve is a popular one that we like to hike. We like to hike up and down the beach, of course. And then sometimes we'll even go get lost, so to speak, go a little bit further out and look for some of that wildlife. We were out at Corkscrew Trail recently, walking around there. So when the weather gets nice like this, I like to be either hiking somewhere, in a kayak, on a boat. I want to be outside. I am an outdoor guy.
And that's why we live down here, to get outside and enjoy the beauty of paradise, right? Whether it's the beach, or the trails, there's plenty to do.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, as a first time, maybe, visitor to the area, is there something people should try when they're down here in Southwest Florida that you recommend?
Yeah. So there's so much to enjoy, but if I just took it specific to Fort Myers Beach, there is probably the first thing I would do is tell somebody, jump on the Key West Express right out of Fort Myers Beach and head down to the Keys and come right back to Fort Myers Beach and then open up the party. Fort Myers Beach has changed a little bit for me, Jim, because when I was a teenager, I can remember walking up and down the stretch in front of Lani Kai on spring break, just wanting to be a part of what was going on.
Yep.
And then I remember in my 20s going and watching a lot of live music at the Beached Whale, and then going across the street to Lani Kai and demystifying some of that teen speculation. And then, older, now I'm more likely to be hanging out at Nervous Nellie's, up top, rooftop, watching some live music or checking out the boats coming by. And I would say that if you're coming into Southwest Florida, you need to spend some time on Fort Myers Beach. One thing that I would personally like to do is I'd like to stay at Pink Shell, because I've never stayed there. And I have friends that come in for weddings. I have friends that stay there on vacation. They rave about it. And I just haven't made that trip yet. So I would like to do a staycation there myself.
Yeah, it's a beautiful property.
Yeah.
They've been there for quite a long time. I think
Yeah.
75 plus years. So, and they're back, and every day something new is coming back on the beach. You mentioned the whale's coming back. So excited about that as well too, but plenty to do. So come on down and visit. But is there anything else we should know about Title Adam that we haven't discussed already?
You know what? It's just a quick tag. If you're buying, selling, building, refinancing, or doing a deal in Florida, tag me in. I'm a licensed title agent. I'm here to help you. It's a big deal, but it doesn't have to be a stressful one. And so if you've got a question or you need help, always reach out to me. I'm happy to be there for the community. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah. And what's the best way for our listeners to contact you if they had questions or wanted to learn more?
So probably the fastest way to reach me is my website. It's titleadam.com. And you can send me a message from there. All my contact info, my cell phone is on there as well. And I put my podcast episode, and this episode will also be going up on there once it's live as well, Jim. So yeah, that's the best way, titleadam.com.
Very good. Very good. Adam, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and we'll see you at the beach here soon.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Jim.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fort Myers Beach Good Neighbor podcast, where community meets paradise. If you loved what you heard, share it with a friend and keep the good vibes going. Until next time, stay sunny, stay salty, and keep being a good neighbor. Also, to nominate your favorite neighbors, local legends, heroes, or island businesses to be on the show, go to CaboWaboGym.com, that's CaboWaboGym.com, or call 239-427-4100. We want to send out some island love to Eric Tibbs from Edward Jones, State Insurance USA, and Home Well Services Fort Myers. They are the businesses that allow us to share the soul of our community with every listener, from local stories to the positive vibe of island life. Here's to celebrating all that makes Fort Myers Beach the slice of paradise we all love.